Hello and welcome to the third season of the Geron Technologies podcast. As some of you may know, my book, The AgeTech Revolution, launches next month. During the summer, we ran a successful crowdfunding campaign to fund the production of the book. So I want to give a shout out to some of my campaign supporters, specifically to Dr. Edith Harel, Heidi Culbertson, and of course to my amazing parents, Chaim and Tali Atkin. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you. Now, back to the podcast. The first 3 episodes of this season will focus on a topic that I know everyone is dying to know about, AgeTech in Japan. My first guest is Roy Tal, the CEO and founder of Solo. I will let him tell you all about what Solo does and how they're doing it both in Japan and in the North American market.
You're listening to the AgeTech Podcast, the show that brings you the movers and shakers of the AgeTech ecosystem, with your host, Karen Etkin.
Welcome, Roy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Karen.
So, Roy, tell us a little bit about Solo. What is it that you do?
It will be my pleasure. So I'm really lucky enough to be the CEO of Solo, which is a video-based app for older adults, how non-surprising, that helps analyze human emotions and improve emotional well-being. So we actually help communities, home care agencies understand how their members or residents are actually feeling and also to improve their well-being in a general way.
That sounds miraculous. How do you do it?
Wow, how much time do you have? I think that how we do it is actually we use face recognition. So all of us know face recognition by using our Android or iPhone to unlock it. So actually what we are doing is using the built-in camera of your device. So no need for any specific or special hardware, just the built-in camera to actually capture every micro expression that happened on your over 40 muscles in your face. And we actually translate it into 7 main emotions. And it's something in a scientific way called a facial action coding system, something that every demographic, every place in the world where you go, even as a tourist, you understand when people are smiling, they are really projecting happiness and something very positive. So we scan this in a 20 seconds emotional checkup, and then we can actually recommend for that specific individual the feel-good videos that will make him or her feel better and improve their well-being. And also, last but not least, we monitor what happened in the session. So we actually can tell what happened to your emotional well-being, why you watch those feel-good videos that we recommended for you. And we have the ability to create an emotional well-being dashboard for communities so they can actually see overtime happiness, calmness, sadness, stress levels, anger levels, and much, much more for them to help to take care of our loved ones.
That is amazing. And which markets is Solo currently available in?
Sure. So I'm an Israeli, so definitely we started in Israel as a beta site or a very important POC for us. Now Solo is available both in North America and in Japan. So our first 2 primary markets are Japan and North America.
Wow, that sounds like a handful for a small startup from Israel. How are you handling all of this? And how many people do you have on your team?
So we have almost 11 people in our team that are working on this. We have people from machine learning and artificial intelligence and customer success and many other amazing people that want to dedicate their lives to improving older adults' well-being. And actually, when we started and chose those first 2 markets, we thought it's going to be very, very different. Maybe they have different pain points, maybe different challenges, but you will be surprised that a lot is very, very similar. A lot of the pain points are very, very similar from the Japanese market and the US market. And for us, it's really an amazing, almost experiment because we can see the different reactions to our technology. The Japanese population are more acquainted with the robot. So we have Solo is kind of a robot companion in the app, so they love it. The US, North America, they feel kind of strange interacting with the robot. So a lot of different things that we experience with the different populations, and we hope we can manage it. And up until now, we're doing it quite successful in over 50 communities in both markets.
That is highly, highly impressive. Can you take us through your thought process? Because usually Israeli entrepreneurs go after the American market and they don't look at other markets for several years until they feel like they have achieved product market fit there. So what made you go to both markets simultaneously?
Sure. So other from Japan having great sushi and great food, and that's a big enough reason to choose the Japanese market. I actually was a part of the delegation by the Israeli Export Institute to Japan, and I said, okay, let's do one business trip to check how the Japanese people react to our product. And I met about 120 different companies in a course of 5 days, and the feedbacks were really amazing. So I said, okay, let's start the process. And everybody that knows the Japanese market knows that it's a very slow market. You need to start, you need to be very, very patient about it. So I said, and it was almost 2.5 years ago, let's start the process over there. So I started going to Japan, started doing POCs with one community, maybe one hospital, having experimented with it. And 2 years later, we have a local Japan country manager that works in our company, Shigeya-san, and he's a local Tokyo resident that is actually doing an amazing work, bringing the value of solo to Japan. And it's quite amazing to sit in my house in Israel, and all of my team is Israel, North America, and Japan, but to develop something here in Israel that actually attracts, engages, and affects the lives of people in Japan. So it's quite an emotional experience.
And what was your experience as an Israeli, as a foreign entrepreneur going into the Japanese market? Like, what were some of the things that caught you by surprise, for better or worse?
So I needed to learn a lot about the Japanese culture, and it's very important for the Japanese business people that you respect their culture. So ever since my first business tip, I had a Japanese business card, I had a Japanese presentation ready made, and I had also the app working in Japanese. So it was already localized in my initial trip to Japan. But a lot of things I needed to learn, like how to give a business card, how to speak, where to sit, a lot of things that I really adore about the Japanese business culture and Japanese culture in general. And I think that the way the Japanese are doing business is completely different from how we do it in Israel and also in North America. But in terms of the older adults population, they really see the same importance in the older adults. They really admire them. They want to take care of them more. And they have a huge problem with lack of caregivers, which allows technologies like us in terms of remote monitoring and improving of care. It really allows us the ability to come to Japan, to offer our technology, and to really engage with the population, the local population.
That sounds incredibly interesting and also incredibly complex for you as a CEO to sort of manage both cultures and also to manage basically two tracks of the same product. Like how does that work?
So it's I think the most tricky thing is the time zone difference, because Japan is a totally different time zone than the US. So most of my days start at 4 a.m. with the Japanese doing meetings and end in 2 a.m. doing meetings with North America, because it's completely different time zone in terms of this matter. But other than that, I take an approach of doing A/B testing. And for me, the Japanese and the US market is a very big A/B testing. So sometimes when something is not working with North America market, something is working with the Japanese market. So it's like a balance that we created in our company to have the A/B experiment be very successful. And a lot of the times, maybe it's going to be surprising, a lot of the times the features that we develop because the Japanese population require it or need it are actually a good fit for the North American market. And it goes both ways. So it's a very, very large, very, very emotional A/B testing for us that helps us, keeps us agile, and keeps us really with the feedbacks of the customers.
Speaking of being agile, you had to pivot your product because of the COVID-19 pandemic. How did that go?
I don't remember the exact phrase, but I heard once that if more is changing in the world than it's changing in your company, that maybe you're doing something wrong. And I think COVID really emphasized this for a lot of startups and a lot of companies that changed the course of their action. And we did the same. Before COVID, we had a product called 2gether that was really designed for physical visits, volunteer coming to visit, the family member coming to visit, a lot of physical visits and a lot of hugs. And of course, COVID changed a lot of this. And so we did a very strong pivot from 2gether to solo. And when I first introduced this pivot to the Japanese, It took them several hours to say, and they asked me this repeatedly. Wait, you were together? This is people together. Now you're solo. What does this mean? Why did you change it? They were very surprised because words mean a lot in the Japanese culture. But for us, it was really to survive or to create something new, whether we are terminating together as a project, as a company, or we are reinventing ourselves. And I'm very, very happy we did that because we got better technology. The face recognition was created only with Solo. We were only music videos before COVID. Now we're audio video combination all together. So the pivot really saved us and turned a lot of things for us.
Speaking of content, you create most of the content in-house, right? And you come from a background of, you're a creator, basically. That's what made you start a company. So how does your past experience translate into Solo these days?
So it was a very, very interesting experience from my side because I deal with content for the last, let's say, 15 years with my background in the entertainment and music business. And it was very, very interesting to create content that actually creates some kind of an emotional twist with people. So we started with only listen in the app. So you had the ability to listen to personalized music videos from your past, nostalgic, Elvis Presley, Elvis Costello, every individual with their own favorite Elvis. And now we have 6 different activities or 6 different categories in the app. So it's listen, but also create. So it's videos of hobbies, pottery, sewing, knitting, woodcrafting, and more. We have relax, which is kind of obvious, videos that will make you relax. We have smile, which is a very successful category in Japan. It's called kawaii in Japanese, which is something cute. Cute cats, cute dogs, cute people hugging, people smiling, panda bears, and more. And we have travel and socialize, which is also a very interesting category. Those are the 2 things that we really feel the innovation, because people in nursing homes, and you see it with a lot of VR systems, if you provide them the ability to travel for 5 minutes to Italy or to Jerusalem or to New York, it's a very impactful experience, but also socialize. We brought a new category that actually shows group activities. So people playing bingo, drinking coffee, people having beer. So a lot of different things that really reduce the social isolation because people see the group activity and they feel less alone. So it was really, really amazing to see. And one last anecdote about, again, Japanese market. We had a video that we created for the US market of soldiers coming back home. And it was very nice in the US market. When we took this video to the Japanese market, catastrophe, because you change the population, you change the culture, you suddenly look at the video in a different way. So American soldiers coming home was not a very positive thing for the Japanese to watch. So now we're really creating 2 tracks, one content for the US side and one content for the Japanese side.
That is super interesting. There are 2 things here that are super interesting. One is that people watching people in social activities actually reduces their sense of loneliness. That's what your AI has found. That is fascinating. And the second is that obviously different videos in different cultures mean different things. And I wonder, because you mentioned that now basically instead of together, it's a solo experience, how have your users basically dealt with it when they were isolated? Like, was there any challenge in adoption because people had to figure it out by themselves with their own devices?
So it actually, for us, it was a good thing in terms of the change because Solo provides you the ability to use it in your own room by yourself. And when COVID hit, a lot of the group activities were canceled. So no people together, you cannot leave your room for some communities. And it's really became one-on-one activity dedicated. And Solo actually provides this in a contactless way. So even in COVID matters with germs and sanitation and everything, you don't need to touch the screen because it uses your face to trigger the app. So it was another positive thing that we have created this in COVID times because it's a COVID fit. So the ability to use it in a contactless way without touching, completely automatic, the ability to do it one-on-one. You don't need to wait for the family member to visit, and specifically in COVID, it didn't happen. So it actually enabled us to improve and increase the engagement levels from the actual users, because now they can use it 24/7, whenever they want, wherever they want, and enjoy a personalized way that Solo says, "Hi Karen, good morning. I can see you're very calm today. Would you like to listen to music, or would you like to watch smiling videos with me?" So the entire experience was a very companion, social isolation-based app.
That is really, really cool. Contactless and COVID-free, hopefully. So it sounds like you've had quite a journey in the past 18 months. Where do you see Solo in 5 or 10 years from now?
Wow, that's I don't have that detailed of a roadmap, but definitely when we say in our tagline that we digitize human emotions, is something that we see as our own great added value. Because specifically now in COVID, it's very difficult to know how people are feeling in remote or even physically. So for us to take and create emotion-based experiences using our technology, it's something that we see a lot of interest. So it's now the older adult space, but we get also inquiries from the employee well-being, employee wellness programs of high-tech companies. We see it in special education with children on the autistic spectrum that are having a tough time reflecting their emotions, also understanding emotions. Automotive industry, you will now have autonomous cars, so definitely it's something that can be installed in your car and to change the music according to your energy levels, and more and more and more. So for us, having a very simple, non-verbal, autonomous solution that actually knows how you feel and helps you feel better is something that can go a long way.
And what is some of the reaction you received from the staff in the elder care facilities that Solo is available in? What do they get out of it?
So it's a great question, because it's definitely a challenge. We want them on board. They need to believe it, and they need to trust us that we can do amazing work. So it gave them few benefits. First of all, they are using it themselves. So when we initially gave a training for the staff and said, "Hey, give it to the resident to use," and one of the staff members said, "Wait, but why can't I use it?" So we said, "Okay, let us provide you with the license to use in the staff kind of way," and they're actually using it themselves. We have a home care agency that bought 300 licenses for their members, but also 300 licenses for their caregivers, professional caregivers. So that's a meaningful way. Other than that, caregivers don't have the time. Specifically in communities, they have a lot of burden and the turnover is quite huge. So to us have Solo engage with the resident, and the staff member can walk away and can return in 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, the duration of the session, is a very important thing for the residents to be able to operate it by themselves and have the staff more productive. And some communities even have duplicate devices. They have 4 or 3 tablets, so they do it simultaneously. So one staff member can actually engage with 5, 6 people simultaneously using Solo. So it gives them a lot of benefit. And the last benefit that I'm going to mention is finally the ability to quantify in an outcome-based solution how my residents are feeling, and to validate my programming, to share it with the family members, to let them know how their loved ones are feeling, and actually provide a metric that sees over time how my community is reacting and how well-being is treated in my community.
And do you get any fear from certain members of the staff, fearing that they might be replaced because your app is so entertaining that we don't need them anymore?
Yeah, sometimes they say, "Okay, so Solo can do it, why do you need me?" But I think that as they understand that Solo is something that helps augment them, not replace them. For instance, after hours, when they leave for their home, but the resident stays there and have a lot of time, but still needs something entertaining, personalized, well-being thing to do. So they understand it's an augmentation, and we add. And they definitely see Solo as another professional caregiver that has superpowers, can work 24/7. He will not quit his job. He knows all of the residents. So this is why Solo can provide them a lot of information that they actually need in their day-to-day operations.
That is wonderful, and it's so on point having that after hours entertainment, because families used to visit during those times, but not anymore. So solo is incredibly valuable when staff isn't there, or when most of the staff isn't there. Roy, do you have anything else you would like to add?
I think just adding that I do meet a lot of entrepreneurs like yourself that really devote their life mission into improving older adults' lives in general. And I want to, in a very honest way, maybe recommend to every entrepreneur there is, look at the older adult space. It's an interesting space. It's a sexy space, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's a very engaging, it's a very innovation-driven space, and it also contains a lot of business opportunities. So if you want to do something good in the world and also create a good business, sustainable business, go to the older adults market and you will find it both emotional and rewarding and a very, very unique experience.
Awesome. I got my block quote right there. And are you hiring?
Yeah, actually, we are expanding in hiring. So we're looking for more great people to join our team. We're looking for people in the sales department, in the customer success department. So if you're very, let's say, encouraged to work in the older adult space and want to make an impact in the world with a young and humble startup all the way from the Silicon Valley of the Middle East, contact me and we'll give you more details.
Silicon Valley is here. Roy, it's been a pleasure speaking to you again. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
Good luck.
For all of us.
Thank you for listening to this session of the AgeTech podcast. For more AgeTech content, visit thegerentechnologist.com and subscribe for updates. We'll see you in the next episode.